Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to create my lucky bracelet using 3 bars wide. This is technically a 5-bar wide design. I have that video right here where you just lay it all out at once and loop it up. Today's video we will be looping and then laying some more bands, doing a semi-transfer type of method to get this bracelet done. So hopefully you guys are able to do this without a problem. I will be giving you the band count for a full-length bracelet, but I will tell you how far down the loom to go, whether you're using just 1 loom or 2 looms. If you only use 1 loom, it's going to be small and it will be about that big. If you use 2 looms, it will be about that big. So you will need a total of 234 bands. The breakdown is 66 of the white, 56 of the teal, 44 of the yellow, 46 of this purple in the back, and 22 of the royal purple right here. I was going to do this exact color combination, but my bands, these white ones, kept breaking. So I'm going to switch that white out for gray. And this purple, I'm going to switch out to like a clear jelly. So you will need 1 C-clip and your hook, and I will show you guys the loom. To make this version, you're going to need to have at least 1 rainbow loom. Like I mentioned, for a longer bracelet, you're just going to connect another loom right in front of it, lined up exactly how this one is set up. You do want to make sure your loom setup is like mine. So you want the left bar pin to be at the highest point, and then the other 2 go diagonally downward. So make sure our loom setups are identical. And now we're going to choose the first color, which is going to be the border here, which is the white. We technically make the left side of the bracelet first, and then the right. So I'm going to use gray for my border. And to start, we're going to grab 2 bands. So make sure you have 2 of them. And we're going to lay it loosely on the center pin on the left. I don't know why I said center pin, but the first pin on the left. Then we're going to go diagonally to the right 2 times like so, and then we'll go 1 straight. We're now going to grab whatever color you want where the teal is, specifically that sits right here, and we're going to lay it diagonally going downwards. We're now going to go back to gray, and we're going to lay it going straight 2 times, and then we'll lay our diagonal band again. Go back to laying 2 straight, and then our diagonal. 2 straight, and diagonal. If you were just using the 1 loom set, you are going to lay a total of 10 straight bands. So my grays, starting from this first one going straight, you'll have 10 of them. If you're using 2 loom sets, you're going to have 22 straight ones. So after you lay either 10 or 22, you're going to end with just 1 border band going straight instead of the 2. See how we usually have 2? So there should be 1 there. We're going to then bring it diagonally in like that. Make sure you go upwards and not downwards for that. We're not going to go in twice. We're just going to do that once for now. We're going to come back to the beginning, and using whatever color you're using right here where my teal is, we're going to be laying a bunch of loose bands right now. So we're going to skip the first and second and come down to the third and lay 1 loose one there. And from there, we're going to do every other pin. So just a reminder, it should start on the 3rd pin, skip the next one, and lay. Skip the next one and lay. You're going to do that down the loom. For 1 loom setup, you're going to have 5 loose ones. For 2 looms, you're going to have 11 loose ones. And it will look like that. So we're back at the beginning now, and we need to continue laying bands that are a part of the middle and half of that clover. So I'm sticking with the same colors, and at this first pin here, we're just going to lay a straight one with our gray, a straight one with the teal, And now we're going to lay a diagonal teal connecting to the middle here. We'll do that again. So go back to your gray and lay it going straight. And then your teal going straight. And your teal connecting to the middle. And we're going to keep alternating that. So gray straight, teal straight, and teal diagonal connecting to the middle. So I'm sure you can see that pattern starting. After you laid your last teal that's connecting to the middle here, you can see that the end of the bracelet's here, so that will be our last one. It will just end by going one straight with the gray, and the last one will be teal going straight. So regardless of 1 or 2 looms that you're using, it will end just like that. Once you've done that, we're going to grab one more gray, and we're going to connect this corner to this side right here, like so. So go ahead and push all of that down and then come back to the beginning. So now we're going to pick whatever color you want to use where my yellow is. And I would say that this is probably the hardest part. The looping of this bracelet is pretty easy. It's just a lot of different layers that we have to lay. So for this part, I'm going to grab my yellow, and we're going to first start by laying some loose bands. So on this second pin up on the left bar pin, you're going to lay whatever color you're using for those center X's. I'm using yellow. So from the second pin I've laid one, we're going to skip the next one and lay it on the one after that. Every other pin gets this loose yellow band. There's nothing on the very end. It will stop one short of the end like so. Now we are going to start laying some X's, but as we lay these, we need to lay some more loose ones. So that's why I said this part can be the trickiest, but it's not too hard if you just pay attention. So from this right corner pin, we're going to start laying a very long stretched X. So we're going to start on this corner, and it needs to connect up to the 4th pin up on the left bar pin. So from here all the way up to there. Sometimes it gets caught like that on the pin. Just push it down, push it down. We're going to grab a loose one, and we're going to lay it right on top of where that long diagonal band just got stretched to, and just lay it loosely there. We're going to come down to this where this loose yellow is, and we need to cross it now in the opposite direction. So starting there, we're going to cross it over, and it should connect to the 3rd pin up on the right bar pin. I cannot lift my loom up or my loose bands will fall off. From there, we're going to come up to where the last one ended on the right, and we always start on the right bar pin, crossing it diagonally up towards the left. So starting here, we're going to do it diagonally up and connect it to that loose band up here. After you have laid that, push it down and lay another loose one on top. So we have one loose one under the yellow diagonal band, and then we'll have a loose one on top of it. We're going to back up, and we need to now cross it in the other direction, like that. Come up to here to start our next one. Cross it up to the left. Grab your loose yellow and lay it right on top. You're going to back up 2 pins, and now we're going to lay it going in the opposite direction. Just make sure you're paying attention to the loose bands when you're laying it. Make sure you're not accidentally popping it off. So we're going to come over here, start our next one. We're going to keep doing this until we reach the end of our loom. I just laid my first one going up. My next one going up, sorry. And then I'm going to lay my loose one on top. Back up 2 pins and cross it. I don't like the feeling of that, so I'm going to grab a new one. going to do this one more time. Now this last one, we are not going to lay any loose bands on top. So the first pin and the last pin only has one. So I've laid my long diagonal, and now I will cross like so. So don't think you messed up. We're not going to have a loose one there on top. We only have one and one right here. So now we are going to lay some single bands, which are going to be what is purple. Well, it's going to be the left side of the bracelet, so what's purple right here. I'm going to use this clear color instead. And on the second bar pin, or the middle bar pin, we're just going to lay these going straight up the center. You're going to do this until you reach the very end. Like so. Push them down a little bit. And now we're going to choose the rings, the color that you want to use for those. And we're going to be laying triangles. I'm going to use these round bands. I just think they look a little better, but they work either way. So from this corner pin right here, we're going to lay a triangle going around all three of these pins. Just like that. You're going to come up to the next open pin on the right, and that's where your next one will start. Come up to the next one. Just to show you really quick, this is what it's looking like. So on the middle, every other pin should have a purple connected. The side, you can see that purple will be connected to all of them. We're going to do that until we reach the end. Regardless of how many looms you use, the last purple will connect one short of the end. So we are now going to turn our loom around. And we're going to grab one more band that is our border color, and we're going to place a cap band on the very right bar pin right here. That's just a normal cap band, by the way. And we're ready to start looping this out. So just to let you guys know, the triangle bands, the yellow X bands, and any loose bands do not get looped at all. Not right now. So the first thing we're going to do is go into this corner pin and loop the top gray band back to itself, which will go to the left. From here, we're going to now come over to the center and loop these clear bands straight. They're just going to all go forward like so. Just ignore the triangle bands when you get here. You're just going to move it out of the way and grab your clear straight band. You don't want to reach too far down into the pin because then you might get tangled into the teal bands. Just reach far enough in there to where you're reaching that straight clear. And just loop them straight up until you reach the end of your loom. So that's what we're looking like. We're going to come back to the beginning now. We're going to come to the center pin. We're going to loop this gray to itself. And then we're going to go into that pin, and you're going to push everything out of the way and grab the very bottom band, which is my gray, and loop it forward. Come back down here to the cap band. We're going to loop the very bottom band forward. Then we're going to go into that pin, and we're going to go inside of any yellow bands, including the loose one, and we're grabbing the very bottom band again, so the gray, looping that up. So now we need to loop the teal that is in there, making an upside down V. We're going to loop it from the right side. When you go inside the grays, it's the top teal that's in there. That will go diagonally to the left. Then you're going to go into the center pin and grab the bottom teal. Now, when you go in here, you might want to kind of go like right around here with your hook. You don't want to push straight down in the middle because then you're not pushing all of the bands, usually not pushing them all out of the way. I tried to push my hook to the right a little bit so that it moves everything out of the way at once, and I can grab that bottom teal and loop it to itself. Whatever's easiest for you, but that's just a little tip. After you do that, we're going to go into this pin, grab the very bottom band, and we're going to loop that up. We're going to do that again. Go in here, grab the very bottom band, and loop that up. After you looped up 2 times, we're going to come to the right bar pin and do the same thing. So you're going to grab the bottom teal band, and remember, this does not include any loose bands. Just act like they're not there. So grab your straight teal, loop it forward. We need to push all of these yellows, including the loose ones, out of the way. You're going to grab the very bottom band and loop it forward. And now we need to loop those teals again, going to the left like we did right here. So we're going to come into this pin here, grab your diagonal teal, loop it to the left, go in there and grab that bottom one and loop that to the left. Now we need to loop the 2 borders up, so grab the bottom band and loop it up. And do that again. We always loop straight 2 times. We'll come over here and loop the bottoms up twice. This side has grays, this side has teal and gray, but we're still always looping straight 2 times. And then we loop the teal diagonals to themselves, which goes to the left. We will keep doing that until we reach the top of our loom. The second half of bands, like the second loom setup, I guess, that we have to lay, is much easier than the first because we already have a lot of the loose bands laid and kind of ready to go. We just have to pull them in whatever direction they need to go. So do not think you have to do all of this again, because you don't. Some of it, but not all of it. After you looped your last teal bands down, and we are 1 away from the top, we have 1 more straight band to loop forward on the left here. So don't forget to do that. And then on the right, we still have 2 to loop straight, so we'll do that. And now we will bring the bottom bands right here into the top right, like so. We are not going to grab these loose ones or anything like that. For this version, what we're going to do is release the 2 left sides with our hook. We want to keep this right bar pin completely connected still. So go ahead and remove the 2 outer rows like this with your hook. So after these 2 rows are released, go ahead and push everything down on the right bar pin pretty good so nothing pops off. If you're using 2 loom lengths, this part that we're about to do right now is going to be a little bit harder than if you're using 1 loom because your bar pins are going to want to bend. But I'll kind of try to explain that on what you're going to do. We need to rearrange the bar pins. We need to move these 2 onto this side of the bracelet. So what I do is flip it over. When you flip it, have the openings facing you still. Flip it over so we're on the same side. We're going to remove the top base. And you're going to align it all the way to the left side like that. So see how we have the 2 things there? Only one of them is connecting to this. We're going to come down to this one. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to pop that base off. And we're going to move it all the way over. So it's only connecting to the left bar pin. We're going to do the same thing to this one down here. I'm doing a voiceover. I just want to tell you guys that if you have 2 looms and you're taking off this bottom piece, it's going to be a big blue base. As soon as you remove that piece, the bottom half of your second loom is going to crumble and probably swing upwards to the right, which I'm showing you right here with this bar pin. It's going to make a V. It's going to kind of slingshot, so be very careful. You want to grab that base and straighten that one bar pin out so that you can reconnect it in a straight line, which I'm going to show you here in a second. If you're only using one loom, you won't have that problem. Your bar pin's going to be like this. You're going to go ahead and pull tightly that bar pin down and get it reconnected into the blue base so that it's nice and straight. Once it's nice and straight like this, and again, that explanation is only if you're using 2 looms. If you're using 1, it's just going to be easy like this. But once you have that one long straight row done, whether you're using 1 or 2, grab one of your loose bar pins. We're going to align it 1 pin lower than this top one. And I am noticing that I needed to move my base 1 pin lower, because if I leave it like this, this is going to be aligned. Let me show you what I mean. And I don't want that. I need this bar pin to sit right here. So I am going to lower this top base 1 more pin down. And now I can connect this. We're just reversing the order or the way that the diagonal slant was on the loom so that we can lay the opposite half of the bracelet. So if you turn your loom around, it will now be like this, where the diagonal slant is going down to the left instead of how it was originally going down to the right. So if you're using 2 looms, you're going to do that exact same process with the top set and the bottom set. Like I said, it is going to just be a little bit harder to get that first bar pin reconnected. So hopefully we are all at the same point right now, and we can continue with the second half of the bracelet. So we're going to start with our border color, which is our gray. And we are going to grab our hook, and you're going to grab out of these 2 loose bands, you're going to want to grab the top one out of the 2. So this top one out of the 2 loose ones, and connect it like so. You should have 1 loose one there for closing, and that should be on the bottom. And now we are going to lay another diagonal going to the left. And we'll lay 1 going straight. We're now going to grab our teal. And we're going to lay this going diagonal down. And now we will lay 2 gray going straight. And then our teal diagonal. 2 gray going straight. Teal diagonal. And we will alternate this down the loom. We lay the same number that we laid originally for the main part, or for the first part of the bracelet, which for 1 loom is 10 and for 2 is 22. So I'm counting from here, there should be 10 straight ones or 22 straight ones, depending how many looms you used. So I have 2 empty pins down here, and that's where my last straight one ends. From there, I'm going to lay 1 of them going inwards like so. We're going to come back to the beginning, and we now need to grab our hook because we need to connect the other part of the teal band to this pin right here. So if you look at the 3rd pin up on this right bar pin, you see down in here that loose teal band. You're grabbing that and just connecting it to the middle pin so it makes that little V type of shape. We're going to come up to the next one where our diagonal teal is. You're going to look next to it and locate that teal that's laying loosely and connect it. We're going to do that to each one of them. And so they're all reconnected. This is the last one that should be reconnected down here. After I have them reconnected, I do recommend you pushing them down. Make sure that the right side is sitting on top. And now we need to start stretching the loose yellow bands. And this part could be a little bit tricky. There's 2 bands on each of these pins. Well, most of them, not the first or the last. But we're going to start, we always start each one by grabbing the bottom of the 2. Sometimes they can get kind of twisted. So you want to make sure that you are, in fact, getting the one that is sitting on the bottom. So if you pull one of them, I can see that that is coming from right here. That is not on the bottom. So I'm just going to pull that over the pin to get it out of the way. And as a matter of fact, you can do that to each one. Once you verify that it is the top one, flip it over the pin to get it out of the way. That's a good little tip. So now you won't accidentally grab the wrong one. So we are going to come up to the 4th pin up on the right. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to grab the loose band that we left there. It should be the bottom one. And we need to connect it to the first corner pin over here. So we're going to stretch it and pull it down and connect. Like so. It's going right in between those 2 pins right here. We're going to come to this 2nd pin right here and grab that loose one. And we're going to connect this to the 3rd pin up on the left. Push that down some. We need to come up to the next loose one. And that's going to be this one right here. So this is where our last X ended. You're going to come up to. And this is where we're starting. We're going to pull this down to the left. And you're going to connect it to where your last X ended. Now we need to come to where we flipped that band over right here. And we're going to unflip it. Like so. And we're going to now cross this going up to the left to complete that X right here. Like so. To start our next X, we're going to locate our next loose one. So you can see it's laying right here. You're going to pull that down to the left and connect. This is where our last one was. We need to come over to the right pin to the last X that was completed. So this is the last complete X. This is where we flipped that loose band over. So you need to unflip it to make it loose again. And now we will cross it up like so. It should be connecting 2 pins above the last one. So here's where this one ended. It goes up 2 because every other pin is empty and every other pin has yellow on it. Okay, so that X is complete. We're going to come up here and locate the next loose band, and that's right here. Pull it down and connect it. After you connect it, just come right over here to the right, and that's where that flipped band is. Unflip it. Grab that loose one. Go diagonally up to the left to complete that X. And we have one more to do if you're only using 1 loom. If you're using 2 looms, you're going to continue that process until you get to the end. We have 1 loose band left right here. Bring it down and connect. And then you're going to go right over here to the right. We're going to unflip that one. And we're going to cross that up to the left. And that will connect to the corner pin. I'm just going to slowly show you how my loom looks, because I know that is a little bit tricky. Go ahead and push those down. We're going to come down to the end here, and we're going to lay 1 more border going inwards. We could have actually laid them both at the same time earlier, but I had a different version for the start, and it just stayed in my head to do it that way, so I stuck with it, I guess. But go ahead and lay that second border so that part is completely done. We'll come back to the beginning, and we are going to lay the single bands again where those purple are. And remember, I used the see-through. Alright, so on the center pin here, we're just going to lay a straight single chain going all the way up until we reach the end of our loom. Like so. Push that down a little bit, and then we're going to lay the other half of our rings, which is our purple. So starting on the left corner pin, we need to make a triangle, connecting it to all 3 of those pins. Come up to the next pin and start your next triangle, wrapping it around all 3 of those pins, and we're going to do that up the loom until you can't lay anymore. And that's actually my last one right there. Your last one is 1 pin short of the end. So we are ready to start the looping. So we're going to turn our loom around. We're going to be starting on the left pin down here. Before we do anything, you're going to take the top gray band and you're going to pop it off so that it's laying loose like that. You're going to grab your hook. You're going to go into this pin, because this is our cat band right here. You're going to push to the right and you're going to grab a hold of that loose gray band and loop it to itself. Like so. And from there, we're going to go ahead and loop that clear single chain all the way up, just like we did the first half of the bracelet. So you're going to go into this gray band, grab your top clear and loop it straight. Remember, we are ignoring any other bands, the X's, the triangles. Act like they're not even there. Just keep going in, grabbing your clear and looping it straight up until you reach the top. So this is what it would look like after the middle's looped up. Now we're going to come back to the beginning in the very middle here. We're going to loop that bottom gray to the right. We're going to go into that corner pin and loop the very bottom gray band forward. And now this is where we just looped up the last one on the right. Come right over next to it to the pin all the way to the left over here where our bracelet's connected. You're going to go into that pin, grab the bottom teal. You're going to loop that to the right. And then you're going to go into that pin. And this is where you want to be careful to make sure you get in front of everything. Kind of sweep your hook to the left to make sure you're in front of everything. Grab that very bottom teal and loop it down. We will go into this corner pin, or to the pin on the right side, sorry. Move everything out of the way and grab the bottom and loop it up. We're going to loop it up again, so grab the bottom band and loop it forward. We need to now do the teal looping again, so we're going to go right over here to the left side, right next to the last pin that we were just on, so right over here, and we're going to loop the teal. So that goes to the middle. Push everything out of the way in there. It's best to kind of go to the bottom left and then push over so that you can make sure you're grabbing the very bottom teal. We're going to loop the right bar pin bottom band up 2 times. So 1 and 2. Come over here to the left side and loop your teal. So we're going to alternate looping 2 borders on the right pin and then looping the teal out from the left side. When you reach the top right corner, you're going to bring the bottom band in towards the left, and one more time, like so. You're going to locate that loose band, bring both ends together, and attach your C-clip. You are going to want to probably just pull this off of the loom. You can certainly go ahead and try to do that, but with the way the X bands are laid, a lot of bands are going to get stuck, and I don't want you to break anything. So you might want to just take a second and use your hook to remove everything. So when you take it off of the loom, things might look a little messy from the way that we had to do the transfer. Your rings might be kind of like twisted and flipped. Roll it with your finger. I do recommend trying to pull it out and get it to look as evenly as possible. So I do fidget with them a little bit, and then you're going to need to stretch it up and down, left and right, to help things kind of fall into place. I like to go through and see if any of my teal bands need to be twisted or flipped. I do like the top of those 3 bands to pop out a little more. So sometimes I grab my hook and pull it like that. That's just a personal preference. I do go through and do that to all of them. But I mainly go through and check these bands. For opaque bands, they come out okay. But for these specialty bands that have dual sides, they twist very easily, and you will have to go through and untwist them. So that's it. I hope this wasn't too hard. I felt like it wasn't too hard, but then once I got into it, started showing it, it felt a little hard. But that is how you make my lucky bracelet. If you guys liked this video or it was helpful, don't forget to hit the like button down below. Share with me on Instagram if you do make one. I'm really, really interested in seeing them. That will be it for today, you guys. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you really soon at my next tutorial. Thank you so much. Bye!